Hare Krishna, Jai
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. So, from today onwards, we'll be starting the Bhagavad Gita from chapter 1. But before that, there is a wonderful introduction written by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. So, we'll be looking into that. One second. Let me enable. So, we'll be looking into the introduction given by Srila Prabhupada. So, Prabhupada, actually, I was looking at one video that went really viral some days ago. It was about this athlete receiving a prize, and I was very curious. People were clapping and cheering for him, even though he achieved actually second prize. It was not the first prize. So I was wondering why. And then I figured out that he, what happened during the actual event was that he was about to come second, or actually, he was about to come first. But this, why he came first was because this person who was actually before him, he fell down. So he was actually leading. Another person was leading, and he fell down. And as a result, this person was about to get first, so he stopped. And he stopped and he went back and he picked him up and made that person as the first. So as you can see, because of that, the people became very appreciative of this person, and then they were clapping him and cheering for him because he was upholding the spirit of the game. So Srila Prabhupada starts off the introduction to Bhagavad Gita by mentioning how one has to read the spirit of the game, or spirit of Bhagavad Gita. What should be the spirit of Bhagavad Gita? So he mentions that the just like the medicine, when you take the medicine, if you take a particular medicine, we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take the medicine according to our own whims or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the directions on the label or the directions given by a physician. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker himself. So that is the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. We will know the spirit only when we accept as it is directed by the speaker himself. The speaker of Bhagavad Gita obviously is Lord Krishna, and he is mentioned in every page as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. And we should accept Krishna as the absolute Bhagavan. Whatever words come from him are absolute. And just like all the great acharyas have accepted, the great personalities like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Nimbarka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should also similarly accept the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just like these acharyas have accepted. And then we should take the message of Bhagavad Gita as directed by him, just like we take the medicine in the same spirit as directed by the physician. Now, people may ask, sometimes when we go to distribute Bhagavad Gitas, I met one person and he showed, oh, I already have a Bhagavad Gita. And he came and he brought a Bhagavad Gita and showed it to me. And then I was telling him, oh, it's good that you have a Bhagavad Gita. You seem to be a very pious person. But I showed him the Bhagavad Gita that I had, And I explained him it was Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then he was very curious. What do you mean by as it is? And then I was telling him the importance of the disciplic succession. Like there are many editions of Bhagavad Gita throughout the world, hundreds of editions. I came across one Bhagavad Gita which basically tells it's commentated by a physician. He basically tells the Bhagavad Gita is allegory, it's not a reality. It is it's like this Kurukshetra is considered to be like your body, and the you have to fight the evil elements in the body by good elements. The Pandavas are considered the good elements, and the Kauravas are considered the evil elements. And Krishna is like the doctor who directs how to cure this body, something like this. And some great personality, he tried to take out the message of non-violence from Bhagavad Gita. Whereas, if you see Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is urging Arjuna to fight, even though it's a dharmic fight. But Krishna never asked Arjuna to sit idle and take to non-violence, because that was the duty of Arjuna as a Kshatriya to fight. So you can see different people take different messages from Bhagavad Gita. There was one great drama writer during Prabhupada's days, I believe even earlier, Mr. P.L. Roy from Bengal. So he has written a book called Shah Jahan. As we know, Shah Jahan is the father of Aurangzeb. So, and then he read that book, Mr. P.L. Roy, and the book was completely about the atrocious activities of Aurangzeb, how he was massacring people and how he was causing all kinds of troubles and pain to Shah Jahan, and he was even imprisoning his own brother and his family members, and he was doing so many atrocities. And then P.L. Roy got a doubt, and the P.L. Roy's friend, he had a doubt when he was reading this book. And then he went to P.L. Roy and said, "So, my dear friend, I had a question. So, you wrote this book, all right, Shah Jahan, but this book is full of activities of Aurangzeb. But I didn't understand why you named it as Shah Jahan." And this P.L. Roy said, he said, "The point is, I wanted to highlight the pain Shah Jahan felt through these activities, how much it pained him. The central hero, therefore, is Shah Jahan, not Aurangzeb." So his message was that Shah Jahan, Shah Jahan's pain need to be highlighted, not Aurangzeb's activities. So as you can see, the intent of the author can be known only by the author. So this is the principle of disciplic succession. What Krishna wanted to convey can be known, can be understood only when Krishna reveals. We cannot understand by our own imperfect interpretation. These the different gurus. I saw one video of a popular guru who says, "Oh, I don't read Bhagavad Gita. I don't need to read Bhagavad Gita. I know everything. I figured out everything." He's a self-made guru. He does not come in disciplic succession. Disciplic succession means just like Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita, Krishna knows what is the message he wanted to give, and he passes down that message to the person he wants to convey the message to the next person. So like that, the disciplic succession continues. And one who receives, one who gets authorized to propagate the message is a bona fide guru in the disciplic succession. And Krishna himself gives this, it's not that, oh, we are making this up. Krishna himself mentions the importance of this principle in Bhagavad Gita, in the fourth chapter. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakave bravit. So Krishna says, oh Arjuna, this knowledge that I am giving you is not a new knowledge. It's been going on in parampara from a long, long time. I've earlier given this knowledge to Vivaswan, the sun god. Vivaswan gave it to his son Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. In this way, evam parampara praptam. In parampara, this knowledge has been received, and particularly by these Rajarshis, the kings who are also considered saintly, they were the propagators of this knowledge. And but sakale neha, but in due course of time, mahato yogaha nashtaha. This became nashta. This became vanquished. So therefore, adya sa evayam maya tedya yogaha proktaha puratanaha. I'm going to reveal it to you again today, re-establish that disciplic succession. So this is the important principle. That is why so I told him this is I showed him the list of the personalities Prabhupada gives, this knowledge coming from how our sampradaya is coming, how Prabhupada is the current link in the sampradaya, the 32nd personality going all the way to Krishna, from his spiritual master to his spiritual master to his spiritual master, going all the way to Krishna. Only then we can be secure that this knowledge that we are getting is absolutely perfect knowledge as it is, without any mal interpretation. So that is why we should be very careful to read and hear Bhagavad Gita from a bona fide person or a bona fide book. So that is the other thing. And here Prabhupada also mentions who is the best person to receive Bhagavad Gita. Like you have many friends, family members, or in general public. Not everyone is interested to understand Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? And those who are spiritual, we met one person recently. We went for some bank related work, and she was the in charge of that particular branch, and we were talking to her, and she was saying, oh, obviously she saw we are devotees and wearing tilak and all that, and that was a festival day. We went in the devotee clothes. So she was saying, yeah, it's nice you're doing all of this, but you know what, I'm a spiritual person, I'm not a religious person. And she was explaining, oh, I don't you know worship any god, and I lead a spiritual life. I lead a very logical life. I have this guru, whatever, doesn't belong to disciplic succession and all of that. So there are many people who say spiritual. There are many people who are Gnanis, philosophers, yogis. You'll find, people sharing videos about, oh, this yogi is doing meditation in the middle of Himalayas. And then there are general public not very interested in Bhagavad Gita. So all kinds of people, but who is the best qualified to receive Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada mentions here that broadly, of course, general public, if they are not interested, there is no point in them understanding Bhagavad Gita. They will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita if you force them. You need that eagerness. So there are three kinds of transcendentalists who try to understand the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita: the Gnanis, the Yogis, and the Bhaktas. Gnani is somebody who is trying to acquire knowledge. How I can be more knowledgeable. Ultimately, he wants his own sense gratification and more name and fame from that knowledge. Yogi means He's trying to do some yogic practices and become a perfect yogi by mystic perfections. So he can also get sense gratification. But the third kind of transcendentalist is a bhakta. Bhakta means one who is devoted to Krishna. Unlike people say, oh, I'm not religious, I'm only spiritual. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, you cannot be spiritual unless you are religious. You cannot be religious unless you are spiritual. So both go hand in hand. If you take out God from spirituality, it becomes a mental concoction. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. If there is no God, anybody can come and say, this is dharma, we follow this. There is no universal dharma. Just like if there is no government, anybody can drive anywhere. Oh, there is no driving on the right. There is no traffic light. There is no speed limit. Anybody can establish. Can anybody establish dharma? No. So only the government can establish the law. Similarly, only God can establish dharma. So there cannot be, you cannot be saying I follow dharma without following God. So therefore, a bhakta is the real spiritualist. A bhakta is the one following real dharma. And among these three categories of transcendentalists, the gnani, yogi, and bhakta, Prabhupada mentions here that the bhakta is the best qualified to receive Bhagavad Gita. And there are 5 kinds of bhaktas. So, what are these different bhaktas? Prabhupada mentions that bhakta means there are 5 kinds. A bhakta can be a bhakta in Shantarasa, appreciating Krishna's greatness. Oh, God is great. So people have this conception. They are all bhaktas, but they just appreciate God. God is great. And they respect God. That is also devotee. But the next higher level is they start to serve God. God is great. Therefore, my duty is to serve Him. I am part and parcel of God. So that is bhakta in dasya rasa, servitude. And then there is even higher than that is bhakta in friendship. Oh, you can be friends with God. Yes, that is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, where all these concepts are mentioned. Arjuna himself was a classic example how he can be friend of Krishna. Similarly, in our original state, all of us have a particular relation. We have particular relation like we can be a devotee in Shantarasa, like how the grass is giving service to Krishna, the flute is giving service to Krishna, the simhasan, the chair is giving service to Krishna. That is Shantarasa. Then there is Dasya Rasa, how these cowherd boys are giving service to Krishna. There are some friends of Krishna, like Arjuna, and special cowherd boys, very intimate friends. And then the next higher level is service to Krishna in parenthood, Vatsalya Rasa. And even higher than that is conjugal rasa, Madhurya Rasa, loving Krishna as a lover. So all this, of course, one needs qualification to understand the intricacies of all these rasas. But the point is that the devotee can be in one of these rasas, and we will understand this Swarupa Siddhi, the perfection of our constitutional position, as we go serving Krishna. Currently, we are in forgetfulness of Krishna. Just like a person, Prabhupada gives this very powerful example. One of the wonderful modern inventions is this alarm, isn't it? Of course, even though people may not use it, or people, even though they may use it, they may not wake up. But the point is that alarm definitely disturbs your sleep. You come back from sleep to reality. or you understand that I need to get up. Why? Because even though we are in the dream, we are in the forgetfulness of the reality, our ears are very active. The moment there is a sound, your ears absorb that sound and you awaken your consciousness. So, like that, this hearing about Krishna serves like that alarm. We are currently in that forgetfulness. The Shastra also gives the example Pishachi paile jana mati channa hoy. Just like you may go to this mental institution where maybe your relative is there, and then you go there, and that person starts to abuse you. He cannot recognize you. This is the position. So we are all covered by Maya. Maya grasta jivera. And the process of Krishna consciousness, by hearing about Krishna, particularly by chanting this holy name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is like that alarm. We are right now in the sleeping stage. And by hearing that alarm, Prabhupada also likens this process to, like, I don't know, now they do that in India, but we used to do that. I'm sure many of you used to do that. So we used to drive these cars, and suddenly the car would stop. And then the driver said, no, no, don't worry. You just get down and push the car. And then he starts the engine, and then suddenly it starts to move. You're pushing, pushing, and people come and let's move. Who push the car? And you keep pushing, pushing. Again, the car starts to drive and it's on its own. And yeah, then you get in and go. So, like that, right now we are in that stopped stage. Even though we are supposed to be moving smoothly, our constitutional position is that of a devotee of Krishna in one of these rasas. We have forgotten about it. And we are being very sluggish, or we have come to a halt. But by the process of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, it is like that pushing process. Why pushing? Because naturally we are not attracted to devotional service. We want sense gratification. So by pushing, pushing, by accepting the vows, no, I have to chant. Now I have to hear Bhagavad Gita. Take a vow. Yes, the mind says, no, let's forget about it. Let's hear something, some fun music. Let's go to a party. Let's go to a movie. Why temple? Why chanting? So all of these things the mind forces. But because we are pushing it against our mind's dictations, this is like the pushing process. But once you catch that, reignite that fire, it'll move automatically without force. And then Prabhupada also covers in the introduction how to accept Bhagavad Gita like how Arjuna did. You know, this principle of half hen logic, like this moral story they say. So he was giving egg, he was feeding this hen, and this was laying golden eggs from the back. So feeding was from the front and taking gold from us from the back. So he said, oh, I'm losing a lot of money by feeding from the front. So let me cut off the head and only take the back. It doesn't work like that. It is called half hen logic. I, I went one time to distribute Bhagavad Gitas, and I was giving a Bhagavad Gita to somebody. And he said, I don't need, I also already know Bhagavad Gita. He said, oh, karmanyeva adhikaraste. That is the principle of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I just happily do my work nicely, and that's what Krishna says. It is Bhagavad Gita. Actually, he was only partially correct. The whole verse basically says, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. If you take the fruits of action and enjoy, you are culpable for punishment. You're liable to be punished. Those fruits should be used for the purpose of yagna. You can take your quota as it is given to you, as it is set aside for you. That quota you can take. But if you take everything and use for sense gratification without using it for yagna, you become liable to be punished. So taking only partial truths, what I want, what I like from Bhagavad Gita, and leaving everything else, it's a half hen logic, not what Arjuna did. What Arjuna did in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada mentions in the 10th chapter, Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Majam Vibhum Ahustvam Rishayah Sarve Devarshir Naradas Tadha Sito Devalo Vyasah Swayam Chaiva Bravishime Sarvametadrutam Manye. Oh Krishna, I accept everything that you said as truth. Everything, not one sentence here and one sentence there. So that's how we should accept Bhagavad Gita, like Arjuna. Whether I may like it or not, the doctor will say, this is your disease. This is what you need to do. I should accept it, whether I like it or not, because that's what is going to cure me. And the final concept for today, Prabhupada mentions in the introduction, is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. What is the purpose? Purpose is, what we should understand is, everybody in this world, whether they admit or not, they are in anxiety. There is this man who came to temple, and he usually is very jolly and happy and all that. And I asked him what happened. He was very morose. I asked him what happened. And he said, oh, one of my close relatives, he died. I said, I felt very sorry for him. And I said, sorry to hear that and how it happened. And he said, that person committed suicide. And I was obviously shocked. And he said, I couldn't have felt really bad. Of course, people do commit suicides. But this person was very active, very happy, very jolly. And just like that, all of a sudden, I cannot digest suddenly how it happened. Why he did this, nobody knew. So like that, there are several examples you can find in day-to-day life. Suddenly, why people commit suicides? Not just suicide, people are in so much anxiety. Right from a bird, when we go for a walk, this bird is eating something, and suddenly when we go nearby, it flies away. It's scared for life. Everybody is scared. Everybody is anxious for their food, for some problem. The kids are anxious for their studies, for the grades. The adults are anxious for the kids, for their own careers, for livelihood. The elders are anxious for their health, for what will happen when they are alone, when they are old. Everybody is anxious in this world. So therefore, here Prabhupada mentions, every man is in difficulty in so many ways. So Arjuna also was in difficulty, and Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. Consequently, he heard Bhagavad Gita, and then he was freed from that anxiety because he moved that platform of non-existence, that asat, this bodily understanding, to that of spiritual understanding. And then he was freed from that anxiety. So the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. That is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So today we learned the spirit with what we should read Bhagavad Gita, the principle of disciplic succession, and who is the best qualified, who is the best of these three transcendentalists, who is best qualified to receive Bhagavad Gita, the five kinds of devotees, and how to accept Bhagavad Gita completely like Arjuna, and what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So I'll stop here today. Anyone has any other questions or comments? Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.